So, on my first video that I recorded, I said that I'm a truth seeker. And ever since I shared that video, I've been thinking so much about truth. Like, what is truth? And so over the past week, I've just been pondering that, and I've been reading like so many scriptures that says talks about truth, and I've been listening to talks and reading things, and there's so much to share about truth. I came across a, a little thing that I want to share with y'all that's about truth. And whenever I read it, I was like, oh, I love the parable that I'm gonna share it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And I'm sure some of you have heard it before, but it's called The Blind Men and the Elephant. Well over 100 years ago, an American poet put to rhyme an ancient parable. The first verse of the poem speaks about 6 men of Indostan, to learning much inclined, who went to see the elephant, though all of them were blind, that each by observation might satisfy his mind. In the poem, each of the 6 travelers takes hold of a different part of the elephant and then describes to the others what he has discovered. One of the men finds the elephant's leg and describes it as being round and rough like a tree. Another feels the tusk and describes the elephant as a spear. A third grabs the tail and insists that an elephant is like a rope. A fourth discovers the trunk and insists that the elephant is like a large snake. Each is describing truth. And because his truth comes from personal experience, each insists that he knows what he knows. The poem concludes, and so these men of Indostan disputed loud and long, each in his own opinion, exceeding stiff and strong, though each was partly in the right, and all were in the wrong. Just let that sit for a second. It's the world that we live in today. We have this elephant. There's this elephant of truth. And we each have different parts of it. And the parts that we have of it are true. They are. And they're our experience of it. And we know it, we believe it, we have experience with it. And we want to share that truth with everyone. But other people have truth that is not like our truth. And so many times we can get hard. We can become so focused and so almost fanatical and extreme within our own truth that we're not open to the possibility of more. And I love this analogy because it shows how in this world, we have so many different paths out there. There just are. Especially, having technology today, we can research, like there's so much information. There's just so much information. There's so much truth out there. And it's true. Like, that's the thing about truth. Truth is eternal. Truth is not something that we decide is true or not. Like, I can't make up truth. Truth just is. Truth has always been, it is, and it will always be. We cannot change that. Just because we don't like a truth does not mean that it's not true. A lot of times, in life, we hear things that maybe it goes against what we have learned up to a certain point, and we judge it, and we think, oh, that can't be true, because it doesn't go with what I've learned up to this point. And it's because we speak different languages. I'm coming to learn and to understand that all these different religions of the world, religion and not religion. I mean, I don't even like to use the word religion necessarily, because there's just a lot of different paths that people don't associate with religion, but they are spiritual seekers. Like, there are people who are seeking spiritual knowledge and an understanding of something that's greater than them. And um you know we were born like, there's just so much, there is so much. I have just been receiving so much, like, and that's the beautiful thing, is like all the languages that I'm learning, as I learn from all these different people. There's so many things that people call this, like there's a group of people that will call it downloads. Like, I've been receiving so many downloads. I call it personal revelation. I mean, that's just the term, and the knowledge, the language that I use is just revelation. And the Spirit just teaching me so much about truth. And I have such a challenging time sometimes expressing and explaining the things that I know. And I'm really hoping and praying that as I begin this process, as I begin this journey and sharing with the world, that He will help me to learn how to express myself better, so that I can explain things in a way that come out a little more smooth. Because like, it's all in here, but then to get it from in here to out, to help people understand it, um, it may be a process. And so thank you for starting this with me. And hang in there, because I know that it will get better. Anything that we start doing at first is not always the greatest. But I read in John, I love the scriptures. I'm a Christian and I believe in the Bible. And so I was reading in the scriptures this week in John 8:32. He says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." And I love that. I love that verse, thinking about how the truth is something that makes us free. Like, feel that, as we are going through this world and we're learning so much. It's like, if you read something, like, how is it making you feel? Does it make you feel free? Does it make you feel expansive? Does it bring light into your life? Does it magnify you? Does it excite you? Does it bring light into your life? Because you can know, those are fruits, those are ways to know that something is true. Whereas lies and untruth, there's a contraction, there's a like, I don't know, that's just not sitting well. It doesn't feel so good. There's a darkness to it. There's a lot of times I've read things, and it's like you can hear this voice of, I've been using the word condemnation a lot, because it's something that it's a word that's been coming to me. But there's just this voice, this sound, this tone that's just kind of off, and I'm able to recognize that today. I've been in a recovery type journey, and part of recovery is honesty. Like, honesty is like the number one, it's like the foundation. It's becoming honest with who we are, and with our lives, and just everything. And so with honesty, it goes with truth. Being true to who we are and to what we know. So much of my life, I've struggled with that, because of like addictions, and because of compulsions and things within my life that I've struggled with as a human being. And so it has kept me from being honest and from living in truth. And so as I'm becoming more open with my and being honest about who I am and how I am and things that I believe and everything, it is so freeing. It is so freeing. And that's why that verse from John, it like, yeah, it is. And I just love it. Um as I've been thinking about this, about truth, like what is truth and how do we know truth? How can we find truth in this world today whenever we are just bombarded with so much? How can we know? I was, the impressions were coming to me, and I was like seeing before we came into this world, like we were in truth. God is truth. We were surrounded by truth. That's all that we knew. That's all we knew was truth. We did not know that there was anything else but truth. We were truth. Like our spirits are truth. And I could just imagine us being up there together, and just waiting our turn to come into this world, and how exciting it was to think that like we're going to get a body, we get to experience this life, and we get to learn, we get to feel, we get to like just have all these different experiences that we had not experienced up to that point as a spiritual matter being. And so I could just imagine us all just like high fiving and like just getting so excited for each other as it's our turn to come into this world. And, and we come into this world just full of just truth and oh my gosh. And we get into this world and it is just so loud with so much information, with just overload of just, and it makes me think, babies, it's like they come into this world and all that they do is eat and sleep, because it's like there's so much stimulus. There's just too much coming at them all at one time. And it's overwhelming, like to think these little sensitive, tiny, sensitive little souls that are coming into this world. And we begin to grow and we begin to be taught by our parents, and we go to school and we start to learn from our teachers, and we go to church and we learn from our teachers there, and we're part of sports teams and social clubs and all this kind of stuff, and we're learning and we're taking in, we're absorbing, and we're just taking in all these things. And as a child, we believe adults, we just do, we trust that adults know, like they're like gods, they know how this world works, and we believe everything that they tell us. And so as children, we grow in what we're told. And as we become adults, that's where like the sifting has to begin. That's where we have to come into a place where we realize that we've been taught up until a certain point. Like we have to become aware that we have been taught a lot of stuff that is not true. And we have to come face to face with that, and be willing to open ourselves up and say, show me where I have been wrong. And that's hard. That is a hard thing to open ourselves up to recognize where we have been wrong, where we have lived from untruth, where we've lived from lies, really. Because we tend to, the majority of people, we live on autopilot. We're just living based on just what we've been told and what we've been taught. And so I I have always been a seeker of truth. Like I have just always wanted to learn and to gain knowledge, a seeker of the truth of of God. I want to know him. like I want to know him. And I have a friend, she was telling me that I'm going to have her on here and we're going to have a discussion about it, but she lived in an ashram, I think that's how you say it, um, and studied a lot of Hindu belief system and stuff. And she's just so knowledgeable about all of that. But she said that they use the word essence and, seeking to learn about that greater essence. And I love that. I love that, the thought of that. Um, you know, when we were born into this world, we had that veil put over our minds, and so we can't remember it. And that's part of this. That's part of this experience that we are having in this life to to find our way back home, to find our way back to that essence, to that higher power, to that light, and to that love that is God. um it's so interesting learning about all these different religions and even non-religions, just different ways that people, different paths that people are going down to find him and to learn about him. There's just so much, there's so many different things. um People use so much different, so many different words and language, and that's one thing that I'm loving, is that as I learn the different languages, and I'm not talking about language like Spanish, English, French, I'm talking about words that describe God, truly. People use the word God, universe, the all that is, energy, light, uh, just there's just so many different words that people use, but we're all talking about the same elephant, and we all understand it in different ways. And as I'm coming to learn all these different ways, it just solidifies the knowledge that I have. It just solidifies the truths that I have learned up to this point. And it helps me to get rid of the things that aren't true. I'm able to sift through those things and get rid of them, get them out of my life, because they don't serve me. I don't want any untruth to be within me. I don't want to live from lies anymore, because I have a lot of my life and it has kept me sick. It has kept me stuck in addictions, and it's kept me stuck in cycles and patterns that have just kept me sick, truly. And so I'm just really grateful today to be open to learning truth. One thing that I've been learning a lot about, that keeps coming into my head to share, is about a chakra system. I heard this word a few years ago, and I was like, what is that even mean? And how is I didn't understand it. And so because I didn't understand it and it was so foreign to me, I thought that, okay, that sounds like almost new agey, and I just don't know, because I didn't understand it. And as I've been truly learning about it and understanding it, and allowing that knowledge to work within me, within my body, within my understanding, it is a path of healing. It's a path of healing our bodies of emotional stuff, and just things that we've taken on into our lives and into our body throughout our lives. And so it's an awesome thing that I'm coming to understand. Um, it helps me to truly understand how Jesus Christ, like I've shared this many times in many videos, like Jesus Christ is my healer. Like I know that he is the healer. That is who he is and what he does. He heals us, and it's through him that we are healed. And he has given us so many things in this life and in this world to help us, to bring us through that process. You know, a lot of times, um healing is not an overnight thing. I mean, he did heal people, and he placed his hands on them or just told them, like, you were healed, and they were healed. But that's not the way that it works. Most of the time, we have to go through a process of healing, and it takes time, and it takes work, and it takes faith, and it takes trust and patience to go through this process. And he's given us all of these different modalities to use to help us to heal ourselves truly through him, through the knowledge that he is giving us. And so he is helping me to heal my life from all of the different traumas and all of the different things that I've experienced in my life. Like, for instance, okay, so I do have a channel with my brother that I talk about this stuff a lot more. And so if you're interested in learning more about me, you can go to that channel. But whenever I was a child, I experienced sexual molestation. And so that was like a huge, huge thing within me, a huge trauma that was placed within me. And with that brought about just a life of living in like shame and guilt and darkness and lies and just a lot of heaviness. And I've not been able to like even face it or experience, like, it's just been shoved so deep down within me since I was a child. And so over the past couple of years, as I've been seeking ways to heal, ways to become whole, and he has brought me through and brought me to hear and to listen to certain people, and to he has taught me ways to learn how to express myself better, to learn how to allow myself to feel, to explore those feelings, and to stop pushing them down and denying them and not sharing them. And so I've been able to actually just like say it out loud on a video, without like crying and breaking down, because I'm healing, like I'm healing from it. And that is the beautiful thing about truth. The truth, it sets us free. It does. And whenever we are living with secrets and with shame and with guilt and just all of that, it creates that pain, and it creates just this thing within us that makes us live from lies, from lying, and from not being true and being authentic and sharing our truth. That's one thing that we hear in the world today is, I'm living my truth. Like, this is my truth, and someone else has their truth. It's like we all have our own truths, and it's like, well, what does that even mean? Like, I'm living my truth. And if we go back to the elephant, that elephant, it's like, my truth is the part that I know. It's my experience. It's what I've been taught. It's what I've learned, and this is my truth, and this is how I perceive the world and how I process the world and how I show up in the world in my truth. And we all have different parts and pieces of that truth. And as long as we are truly living the truth and we are in our truth, truly, that is a great thing. Now, what's happening in the world at this time, I see, and I'm sure everyone else can see too, is that, we all have our own truth. And a lot of times our truth becomes just like, this is my truth. This is what I believe. This is what I want. This is how I want to live. And, it's not your truth, but you can't judge me because I'm living my truth and it might not be your truth. And it might not even be truth. It's just we want to live a certain way because this is how we want to be and how we want to act and how we want to behave. And this is just like, this is my truth. My truth is that, I'm trying to think of something like drinking. Like I have a drink. I don't, but I'm saying as an example, like I want to drink every day. Like that is my truth. And, no one can say anything about that because that is my truth. Well, the truth is that alcohol is a poison. And so it's like, where's the truth? Like, truth is, like I said, it's eternal. And it's, whether someone believes it or not, like, truth just is truth. And we can't make up what is truth. That's not something that we create. And so, yeah, I've come to just recognize that there is so much truth in this world, and about so many different topics, so many different things. And so that's what I want to bring to this channel is truth. Truth about spirituality, just all the different facets of spirituality and things that other people learn and know, because I was born and raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so I come from that language. I come from that background, and I express myself in that way. Like that is the truth that I was given and I was born into. And it's taken me up to this point to be able to pick through the things that I've learned throughout my life because I've come to understand and realize that a lot of the things that I learned was not necessarily the gospel of Jesus Christ, but that it was the traditions of the people within the church and the beliefs of the people within the church and the culture of the church. And so I've had to separate and understand like what is true and what is the people, because there's a difference between the Church of Jesus Christ and the people. And so that is something that I come from that background. And so that is the language that I use. And there's so much truth as far as like mental and emotional and psychological stuff out there. I've just learned so much about like healing and just emotions. I love psychology. I love the mind. I love learning about everything psychology. Like that is just, I'm so fascinated by it. And there's so much truth out there, and there's so much that people are coming to understand about our bodies and the way that our bodies are functioning, that's based on our emotions and our feelings and all of the things that we repress and our experiences in this life, like all of our traumas and all of that stuff and the way that it affects our bodies. And so there's just so much truth about that. And And there's so much truth about our bodies, about how to take care of our bodies the best that we can, just having the greatest wellness that we can. And so that is what I want to I want this to be a channel of truth, and seeking that truth and finding that truth with one another. And it's so important for us to have the gift of discernment, to be able to know what we are hearing is truth. And um that is something that I have prayed for years, is to have the gift of discernment, because in this world at this time that we're living in today, like, we're not going to make it. We can't make it without the gift of discernment, to be able to filter through all of the things that we read online and just everywhere, all the social, everything, all the voices in this world. We have to have discernment to be able to know what is true and what is not true. And as my discernment becomes more heightened, I'm more aware, it is incredible. Like, it filters through stuff so easily now, and I'm so grateful for that. And I know I have a long ways to go, and that he's teaching me so much about how to truly be able to discern. And that is one thing too, is like, with truth and with discernment and with gaining this type of spiritual knowledge, like, there's so much that, as we read, like, for instance, like reading in the scriptures or reading a book, anything, as we read the words on the page, most of the time the knowledge and the wisdom and truly the flow of the spirit that we're being taught, it usually comes between the words that are on the page. We usually learn more in the spaces than what is written, and than what is said and what we hear. I'll be listening to people, and it's like they'll say something, and it'll take my mind will just start. I'll start getting a flood of thoughts about something, and I know it's not from me. I know that it's the Spirit teaching me more and showing me more truth. And that's available for everybody to have and to experience. And I hope to be a vessel to be able to bring more truth and more knowledge and more light into this world. And I'm very grateful. I'm so grateful. This has just been on my heart a lot this week, about truth and about discernment. And before I begin having conversations with people, I felt it was important to just talk about truth, and to just bring that to the beginning, And I love that analogy of the elephant, and that we all have parts and pieces of the truth. And I want to explore more, and have more people come in to share the parts that they know, because as we pull more people in and we learn from one another, we can we understand the elephant, we understand the truth. And that's a beautiful thing. And so thank you if you watch this whole video. I appreciate it. Leave a comment, share thoughts that have come to you. If you liked it. If you liked it, like it. And subscribe if you want. You can also find me on all of the social platforms, on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. Everything is open. I've opened my life and my book to the world, and so you can find me on all of those places, that's where I share stuff. And so, thank you for being here with me, and until next time.